Ocean warming is so distressing, some scientists don't even want to talk about it, is the headline over at Common Dreams, an article by Julia Conley. She notes, the BBC reported on Tuesday, quote, scientists are so alarmed by a new study on ocean warming that some declined to speak about it on the record. One spoke of being extremely worried and completely stressed. The planet has accumulated so much heat in just the past 15 years that it exceeds the total amount of heat we accumulated in the previous 45 years. And the majority of that has gone into the oceans. In March, researchers examining the ocean off the east coast of North America found that the water's surface was 14.8 degrees Fahrenheit hotter than the average temperature between 1981 and 2011. Now, this is a big deal because the oceans are there's two major determinants of our weather. The first is the Arctic, at least in the northern hemisphere, it's the Arctic. It's the melting of the ice in the Arctic Circle. It's basically a sea up there. It's an ocean, and a giant lake or something. I don't know what you call it, but the Arctic was covered with ice pretty much year round, and it would break open a little bit in the summer, but now it's pretty much not covered with ice year round, and the result of that is that the dark water absorbs heat, whereas the white ice used to reflect heat back out into outer space. And so, number one, the temperature of the Arctic is what controls the jet stream, because the jet stream is the consequence of a very cold Arctic versus very warm equator, as these two essentially air masses or air layers or whatever you want to call it, air masses I suppose would be the right phrase, where they intersect is where the jet stream is. And the jet stream used to just kind of circle around the Arctic and, across the mid-latitudes of Canada, basically. And now the jet stream is frequently drooling all the way down to Texas and bringing, freezing weather down there and shutting down their power plants and things. So number one is the jet stream, but number two is the heat of the oceans. The heat of the oceans also drives our weather. And today, for example, I have MSNBC on the monitor here in the studio just in case there's any kind of big breaking news that I would immediately know about it. And one of the stories that they were talking about is that there are massive tornadoes and hailstorms whacking the Midwest and South again today, right now, as we speak. There are people in this country who are under tornado alert and hail alert and severe storm alerts in areas where, they always got tornadoes, but nothing like this. We're seeing real changes in the weather. All of this should hopefully cause us to wake the hell up. Now, in the midst of this, we have the Republican Party. And, I'm kind of sad to report to you, I'm looking for a word here, depressed, unhappy, that Senator Ron Johnson, the Republican senator from Wisconsin, was speaking in the Senate Budget Committee just a few hours ago, or actually before he's in the committee, and before him was Michael Greenstone. He was talking about the health costs of climate change. And Ron Johnson says, and I quote, I actually found that chart of yours somewhat comforting for at least America. When you take a look at the mortality, which these are, after all, again, projections, I didn't put any stock in them at all, but by your own projections throughout the United States because of climate change, we're actually going to have a reduced risk of mortality in the United States. And wouldn't that really tie in with what the study Lancet in 2021 that said that we suffer about 600,000 deaths due to excess heat? And he's just kind of rambling on and on and on about this. And basically the essence of what he was saying was Africa is going to get whacked worse by climate change than the United States because we're more resilient, we have more air conditioning, we can deal with the excess heat. Not as many people are going to die in the United States. That's Ron Johnson's idea of good news, right? Yeah, climate change is happening, but it's not going to kill as many Americans as it's going to kill Africans. And hey, who cares about killing Africans? At least in Ron Johnson's world. So, but there is something we can do about this, and we need to be doing something about it.